Shalom everyone. Adonai oz le'amo yiten, and through the strength that Hashem gives us, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom. Parashat Naso Tafshin Pei Dalet. Parashat Naso is clearly a direct continuation of Parashat Bemidbar, teaching us about how to create the structure of the camp of Bnei Israel. When we all surround the Mishkan, the Shekhinah, the presence of Hashem is in the center of Am Yisrael. Our faith in Hashem, our responsibility to carry out the Torah practically and spiritually, that is the center of the life of Am Yisrael as a nation. And in Parashat Naso, the Torah teaches us the roles of the Leviim in the Mishkan, and it tells us that we have to take people who are impure outside of the camp of Bnei Israel, because Hashem dwells with us in the center of the camp of Bnei Israel. And then in the center of the parasha, there are two topics, Sotah and Nazir. Sotah is about a married woman who is suspected of having relations with a man who is not her husband. And Nazir is about a person who refrains from one of the pleasures, the physical pleasures of our life in this world, and that is wine. After those two, the Torah continues, takes us back to the Mishkan. It tells us about Birkat Kohanim and about the sacrifices that the leaders of the different tribes brought on the day that the Mishkan was created. So in the center of the parasha, actually in the center of the life of Am Yisrael as a nation, the Torah puts in place these two parshiot, Sotah and Nazir. Why are they at the center here? These are two forces of life. One of the forces of life has to do with all the relationships between a man and a woman, including sexual conduct. That is a force of life. Refraining from wine. Wine is another force of life, and refraining from wine is refraining from a certain force of life. And these two are representatives of generally the forces of life that we have in this world, in Olam Hazeh. It is also well known that the Nazir, there's a complex discussion about him. Some of the rabbis say that he is called Kadosh, holy, and others say that he is considered a sinner. Why is there this discussion about Nazir? I think understanding these topics will help us understand why these two are at the center of Parashat Naso and at the center of the life of Am Yisrael. Where do our life forces come from? Clearly, they are a creation of Hashem. So to say about them on the one hand that they are negative, that we should totally be against them, no. On the other hand, because they are created by Hashem, does this make them automatically holy? No, it doesn't make them automatically holy. It depends how we carry them out. So Sotah teaches us about a mistake people make about the relationships between men and women, or mistakes that we make about this life force of sexual conduct. And Nazir tells us about a person who is afraid that there is a danger in some of the life forces that we have, that they will take control of us. Wine is a great example. You drink wine, you can make it holy. It can be Kiddush on Shabbat, but it can also make us drunk. So he's aware of this danger, and he wants to make sure that this life force does not take over and rule over him. And he's afraid that he won't be able to control and guide these life forces. So we understand why there is an opinion that the Nazir is holy. But why is there an opinion that the Nazir is a sinner? Because there are also dangers in the opposite direction. Refraining from life forces sometimes means that when we will need them, we won't be able to use them. We are supposed to use them in a constructive way. Refraining from them takes away from the constructive things that we can do in this world. There's also another danger in taking away and refraining from different life forces. Sometimes we're afraid, as we said, that they're going to take over, so we suppress our life forces, but we can't really live without them, and then they end up erupting in a way which is much more destructive than if we would try to guide them in a constructive way. This is true individually and also publicly and even nationally. Sometimes there are parents or spiritual leaders who try to guide a generation in the direction of suppressing our life forces, but what ends up happening is that is not realistic, and they're going to erupt, as we said, in an even more destructive way. By the way, there's a third danger in trying to suppress these life forces of ours, because sometimes there's a person who presents himself as one who has suppressed these forces as if he's an angel, and actually behind closed doors in secrecy, he is bringing out these life forces in a way that hurts other people, and as I said, is even much more destructive. And because it's done secretly, people don't know about it, or when it comes out, people don't even believe that it's possible that this can happen. So there are dangers in either direction. So what should we do? It is our responsibility to find the balance about our life forces, to use them. Yes, we have to control them, we have to guide them. We shouldn't let them take over in a way that we don't have any guidance in how we use these forces constructively. We have to restrain them, but not to suppress them, to guide them and use them in a constructive way. And this is why they are at the center of all these parashiyot that are telling us how the national life of Am Yisrael should be constructed. We should have holiness in our lives. We need to use the life forces that Hashem created within us in a constructive way. We need to restrain them, guide them, and use them in a constructive way. And this is a major message about how Am Yisrael should live, with having Hashem in the center of our national life. Wow, it's quite a mission. Behatzlacha. Shabbat Shalom.